And I am going to just remind people that today, while we're working, we're going to be doing some work and having some fun and collaborating in Miro or Miro. So if you haven't already, I have, or if you joined late, there is a link in the chat. It does require you to add in your email. I'm sorry, I know that that's a little bit of an accessibility issue, but yeah, if you can add yourself onto the board, that's where the presentation will be today and kind of where we will get started. So while folks are doing that, I think I'm going to get going on the presentation, and then we'll, near the break, we can take some time to do some more icebreakers and more games that I've built into it today. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. So just give me one quick second. So as we begin, my name is Wesley Reibeling. I am a project management specialist at Egale Canada. I've been there for the past 2 years, working mostly on project delivery for our legal and gender-based violence portfolio. I enjoy learning design and digital technology. That's why I'm here today. I'm also a steering committee member of Jane's Walk, where I hone my skill and love of community and hope for a future for cities to be accessible and equitable for all. I'm coming here today not as an expert. I am currently taking some courses in community development at Ryerson, and I come with a background, a BA in theater studies, but I spent most of my university career with a focus on sexuality studies and directing multimedia art projects. Thus, the skills are somewhat applicable to what we're doing today. So I want to ensure that you can see my screen. So could I just get a thumbs up that you can see the Miro board?
I don't see the Miro board, Wes. I see notes.
You see
your notes.
Oh, great. You can see my fun notes. Okay, give me 1 second then. I'd really like to change that. Sorry about that. No. So let's just move the chat. I'm going to do it on my desktop then. How's that? Are we better?
Nothing's being shared right now. Oh, technology.
Yep, that's part of the fun though. How's that?
Good. Yes, now we see icebreaker Miro.
Awesome. Okay, so this is what we'll come back to. I am going to start with the presentation just so that folks have some time to log in. Thank you, and embarrassingly, you see that I have got breaths built in to make sure that I'm taking my time, but please call me out if I am speaking too quickly. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. There's also other ways, which I'll teach later on, that you can ask them throughout this technology. So yeah, back to me for a quick second. So with learned experience from community building during the pandemic, being a techie and building the design of our gender-based violence programming for our Speak Out Hackathon, I come here today with some tips and tricks. By no means am I trying to sell you any products. I just am showing you what we've used at Egale, what we found useful in some spaces to help develop our products, market ourselves, and make products for certain communities and create space for others and collaboration. So I don't want to repeat any information we have as PrevNet. So I do have added some links at the bottom that we have already created as a community of practice. I also have some other notes from Egale in case, and there's further reading and further research, and I've attached a few research papers as well about the digital economy and youth on this page. So there's lots of fun things and homework or what, but this board is yours. This Miro board is now all of ours to play in, to have fun and collaborate. So I'm truly excited to be here. So now I want to speak about how we can adapt. So just let me get my next slide. So how can we adapt? Online technology has existed for many years, from chat rooms, AOL and MSN Messenger, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. In all of these, there's a place that can be a safe haven. They can also be a dangerous place. But even myself, I found it easier to come out online to an online group of folks than to come out in person to friends, to family as a youth. So though none of us expected to be in this situation working remotely during a pandemic, we really cannot think of our options as limited. Let's try to start thinking about how we have unlimited ways to connect, to engage, work together, and create community. So from here on in, at least for today, at least for this next hour, let's not think about what we've lost, but let's start thinking about what we've gained. Because we all know that we've lost the ability to see folks face to face. So back one slide, so sorry. So what have we gained? Online spaces can represent vibrant socio-cultural communities where youth may have the opportunity to mediate conversation and communication while participating in virtual teams and pursuing common goals. Online spaces give youth opportunities to engage and practice virtual collaboration with their peers while enhancing skills of leadership, trust building, and establishing common ground when creating together. In my workplace, we actually do more creative and collaborative work than ever before than we did in the office. So online spaces are more accessible to some, and especially those who historically could not enter a civic space. So how can we think about the future and hybrid models of how this programming can exist in the future? So we really need to create intentional space for listening to the concerns and needs of adolescents and youth to build a feasible future. So when speaking to educators, social workers, and GSAs in the field, I was shared with very few tips and tricks. One, personality. Don't be afraid to be honest, make mistakes, get messy. I'm gonna make lots today, I already have. Clarity, make sure you're giving clear expectations, clear guidelines, clear safety rules, clear instructions, and be repetitive with them. And a clear central hub for all updates and links so that things don't get confusing for your youth. And lastly, and most importantly, trust. So trust is so integral to any team. If I can stress one thing today, it would be trust. Before we start anywhere, trust is the most important part of team building, whether it be with coworkers, management, youth, or community. In these digital times, we have to be able to lean on each other and trust that we have each other's back. So how do we create that trust online? It's really about creating that intentional space. How can we foster belonging and create respectful interactions with ground rules, with clear expectations from the beginning? We need to ensure our personality shines through and we aren't rigid in our interactions. This means we can be goofy, we can be real, and we can make mistakes, like I mentioned. So also, just like a phone call, folks can tell if we're upset or smiling. So give as much energy as you have on each given day to your youth. Give excitement, and more importantly, give them praise and gratitude. Foster this energy to your youth, as well as fostering this in their interactions with one another. And take time to listen, even if it means starting a session early or scheduling a few minutes at the end of a workshop, webinar, get together, social gathering. These water cooler events don't happen in real life anymore. So we have to feel comfortable to share life events too, and how we are feeling or how we are grieving. All these help with relationship building. One quick second, I just need a glass of water. So I had a query about students not wanting to come on screen, as some MOE and some school boards don't require it. So some ideas that came forth from the social workers and GSAs that I spoke to is asking youth if they feel comfortable, if they feel safe, to come on the very beginning and the very end as a check-in and check-out. They don't need to be on screen for the whole time, but that little bit at the beginning can help foster community and help to enhance the space throughout their online time. In theater, back in the days when I was theater artist, we would always call this like our check-in and check-out. Sometimes it was 15 minutes, sometimes it was a long answer, sometimes it was one word. And we do that here with the community of practice as well. But I say really try to bring this forth into your workplace, into your community, into the work you're doing with your youth. We even have daily scrums as my project management team every single morning at 9:30 before we start at 10. We go through what we've gone through the day before, how we're feeling, and what we're gonna do on the day ahead. It has given me a place of grounding, a place of feeling safe, and a place where I feel like I have community, even as I'm waking up in the morning and having a coffee. Other recommendations I give for if you're having trouble engaging with youth, at least if it's speaking together online, is enhancing as many polls, as many questionnaires, as many forms of engagement that don't require a student to come on screen and talk, but still having ways to engage. On this document, I have a tips and tricks page with a bunch of different links, which I highly recommend checking out. One of them has a spinny wheel where you can add all of your youth's names and spin it so that it's by chance that they have to share today. Or they have to lead the meeting today. Switching it up, I would highly recommend. Having the same mundane syllabus every single session may not be the best course of action in these online interactions. Switching it up or even letting a youth lead a session can help to create new space and new engagement. Which document are you referring to? To show you it, I would have to click off this, but I'm going to because I really want folks, if they're interested, to check it out. So I just need to stop my presentation. So everything you need is in this Miro today. So right here, I have a tip sheet. On it, we've got some principles of online facilitation. We've got a bunch of different links, and this is the wheel of names that I'm mentioning right here. One of the best articles I would highly recommend, and where some of my tips have came from today, is TechSoup, a Canadian company have put together a really great list of some resources. So yeah, and this is liberating structures, another way to run meetings, sessions, etc., that are different every time. So you can check out those too. I've also added some, in my days of community engagement, I'm a big lover of Tamarack's guidelines, and they also have some tips and tricks for working remotely. So with that, I'm gonna jump back, awesome, to trust. So let me just reorient myself. There we are. So other things to consider is just around safety, security, and access. So when we are working with youth, we know that they're coming from many different walks of life, but we need to ensure that they have a safe and secure email and that they can log into it and feel like it's safe. Technologies like even today with Miro, I do see the problematic way that even logging in with a work email or personal email can feel like a violation of rights or a violation of space. So there is ways around that. There is also other technologies like Google Jamboard, like Mural, which I'll speak about in a bit. But there are any ways that we can find new ways to communicate with our youth, especially high-risk youth, we need to at least try to explore. So I guess I really wanted to throw out this to everyone, just about what are the barriers folks are finding right now, and what are the barriers with youth, such as mental health, social, economic, location, technology, internet. But if anyone wants to throw in the comments kind of how they're, what their barriers they found or what their problems they've been facing, we're going to be going through this in an exercise later. But as I'm going through, I'd really love to know, like, where everyone is at today as well. So we can't all assume that we all come from the same place with technology, or that every youth has feasible technology or safety in their home. We need to find ways to engage that are different. We need to push for high-speed internet across Canada as I don't even know how to word this in an acceptable way, but that is something that I think is so integral to existing in the future and working with youth. We need to ensure that they can actually get online, that they have technology that's up to date, that they're not falling behind because of dial-up. And as growing up a country kid on a dirt road in a log house, my family didn't have high-speed internet until I moved away 10 years ago. So it doesn't always exist in a lot of spaces, especially up north. And even we've been reaching out to for other projects to some of the territories that have only got high speed in the last few years. Access to internet, access to consistent technology. Yes, exactly. And then access to tech challenges. As you've seen, even today, there always will be some, but being apologetic and being real with yourself to know that they're going to happen. Your mic's going to cut out, your screen's going to stop working. There will be problems, but it's all about making sure that you have everything set up, that if the world burns down around you, your webinar can still happen. If that means having your notes sent ahead of time or an agenda, if that means that you have somebody on backup. I always just think of it like back to my theater days. As a stage manager, you would have a book that if you fell off the face of the planet, somebody else could run the show. So I think even for our small interactions and working with youth one-on-one, we still need to ensure that everything's in place in case things go wrong. And stopping for a sec to think even back to our hackathon, we had what we called cheerleaders in every breakout room with our teams that were competing to work on finding an intervention plan for gender-based violence. Now, those cheerleaders, we had a huddle every morning and we had a checkout every night about where people were at, how the youth were doing, etc. We had an active listener ready if there was somebody who was feeling triggered. And more importantly, all of the staff participants who took part from our team had a booklet of, in case of emergency, if this isn't going right, if everyone is like, if there's a argument, like, and kind of the what ifs. And going through the what ifs can kind of help, I think, ground all of us to make sure that we're set up in case things start failing. So I just wanted to also touch about the digital divide. It is multifaceted in its inequities. First, unequal access to technology. Second, unequal development of relevant skills needed to flourish online. And thirdly, technology usage according to socioeconomic status. And language barriers. I don't have any suggestions yet, but I will talk about that when we do talk about the hackathon in a bit, as this was something we had come up and something I think in all of our projects, we're realizing more and more we need to ensure accessibility is there, making sure that there's ASL, making sure we have an interpreter for live events. It can't be a second thought anymore. And that also includes design of online things. Not everyone can read bright red on yellow. We need to follow the standards, the web development standards and the design standards when we're designing PDFs and pictures and forms to make sure all youth, all of us can read it properly. And it can't be, as I've said before, and I'm going to repeat, it can't be second thought. It needs to be on the top of our brains. It needs to be one of the first questions we ask ourselves in the development phase of a product or project, sorry. And My next note is be ready if there's tech outages, emergencies, and having training notes and facilitation packages ready. So we've already touched on that, but I'm just going to highlight that again. So next slide is ask the audience. Or communication. It's ask the audience. There we go. So the knowledge experts. So I am speaking about our youth. We need to be reminded that the youth are our knowledge experts. They have a lifetime of knowledge inside our brains. They know how they want to interact and communicate. We can't, as adults, as nonprofits, as society, continue top-down approaches on what we think is best. And these are the foundations of community engagement. We need to ensure that we're asking the folks that we are working with what they need, what they want, how they want to make it work. And if we can find some of that information and integrate it into what we're doing, we can facilitate a future and a digital future for all. So using these knowledge experts, we can collaborate, we can create mutuality and on larger pieces and bring them together on places. When reaching out to York Region's GSA network, they found that a large change in participation happened when they introduced Jamboard, Google Jamboard, very similar to Miro, which we'll be using today. The youth found it social, fun, interactive. It was a place to collaborate and be together when we're distant and apart. They also found that content-heavy pieces at the beginning were better than at the end, as students tend to get fatigued, drift off, or just literally drop off line. So moving any of that heavy content to the beginning and a bit more of the fun interactive to the end, as by accident I did today, is a good way to move forward with youth. All right, communication. So without ongoing communication among its participants, a community dissolves. Communication recreates and maintains community through the interaction of participating members, Watson, 1997. Now, what do I mean by this? Communication to me means check in, communicate with your team, letting your youth, your coworkers, your volunteers, your team know that you're around, even if it's simple good morning or happy Friday, goes such a long way. We have to use communication skills in many different ways than we used to. And we need to continue to ensure community can continue to exist in days to come. In online communities and spaces, youth are learning firsthand the inseparable connection between community and communication as they socialize with peers and work together digitally. We need to make sure we have clear spaces and places for them to connect. Here at Egale, we use Microsoft Suite. Google Suite is also handy, and we use that on my steering committee. Slack, I also use for my arts-based practices. So being comfortable with these technologies that have an integrated platform, I would highly recommend. We also want to ensure that community can continue to exist outside of natural spaces and perhaps even transform. What do I mean by that? For example, I'll use an example of here in Toronto, Church Street. Was it acceptable and equitable for all, or was it for the few white cis gay men of Toronto? Where were the spots for the trans community, the bi community, the lesbian community, the intersex community, the two-spirit community? What about sober folks? What spaces existed outside of those for folks outside of those barriers, those that were marginalized, those who had mental health issues or mental health? We need to make room to ensure that we can create and continue to exist in these digital spaces and carve out new room for new communities to flourish in this time. And this goes back to my whole idea that we need to start thinking of the unlimited options we have and the unlimited space we have with technology. We can't continue, at least a year in. I mean, we can, and we can continue to grieve. The world is still far from perfect and far from where we need it to be in many sense of the word. But I think we can at least look at technology not only as a tool, but on a way that we can be better and communicate better into the future, whatever that hybrid model looks like. All right, so lights, camera, interaction. First up, know your tech. Set the stage, because your interaction will be mediated by a screen. It's important to take steps ahead of time to make sure that everyone has a proper setup. Oh, sorry. You're gonna catch all these little mistakes in the recording. Hopefully you can edit a few out, but start simple. If your group is new to meeting virtually, focus on the basic tools first and gradually introduce more sophisticated functionalities. As I said, this is a step up the program we're using today from Google Jamboard. So introduce that and then bring something like this forward. Focus on the features that are more straightforward and well-defined, and then move to the larger techs. Offer help. As you're welcoming attendees and reviewing tech features, it's also a good idea to let participants know how they can ask for help if they have questions, and what is being shared if they have if they need to troubleshoot glitches. Honor the moment. And I think this one's the most beautiful. The pandemic is a fast evolving situation, even a year in, that continues to bring us a lot of uncertainty about the future. Rather than carrying on as business as usual, take a moment to acknowledge the ambiguity, oh my gosh, I can't speak today because I'm nervous, of this unique moment in time, and acknowledge and normalize people's emotion during this crisis. Reevaluate your goals. For many, this pandemic is a time for personal and professional shifts, and likely a time of high stress, which we have seen with higher rates of mental health problems in our youth. Focus on what's important and what you need to get accomplished right now, and use the rest of the time to prioritize connectiveness and cooperation instead. Define expectations. Before a session begins in earnest, take a moment to review your agenda and say a few words about expectations for the meeting, and manage energy. Related to the point above, as important ways to limit distraction is to mix things up on a regular basis. As I said before, you want to create an atmosphere where participants feel welcome to share feedback. And thank you, Joanne. And you want to invite participation. With online meetings, it can be easy to fall into a one-way conversation, especially if we're new at handling group dynamics online. So now I want to go back a slide because I want to speak a little bit about what I have up on this screen. So I have a few technologies and I don't have time to go through them all, but the following slide has hyperlinks to every single one of these. So if you'd like to check them out, post this webinar, I want you to. And let's just make sure in the recording as well that anyone who missed today has access to this Miro link as well, so that they have access to all these hyperlinks as well. So a lot of these you may have heard of, have been using already, so I'm sorry if I'm repetitive, but Kahoot, I highly recommend it. You can set up quizzes, you can get, you can collect interactions from that and info from that, whether it be how this session was today, or if you want to turn it into a knowledge-based game for youth. Trivia Maker has a Jeopardy, Family Feud, and what other game am I missing? Wheel of Fortune maker. There is a free version, and then the non-free version, I think, is $7 a year. I bought it last year. I don't remember, but it was enough that I did, or it was so little that I didn't remember. There's Gather here. Gather is like online town. So it turns you into a 2-bit little person who you can meet. And when you walk close to somebody, your camera and audio will turn on and you can have an online conversation. Maybe a fun thing to try out to just switch up a meeting. And then ones for maybe post a session with youth, where you want it to be a little bit more laissez-faire, a little bit less rigid, and a place to have a bit more fun. There is House Party and Bunch, which are apps for your phone, which have games and you can play through it, and there's video on them as well. There's also Scratch, which was invented by MIT. It was originally a coding software, but thousands of youth use it now to animate and create animations collaboratively. And then I'm going to talk a bit about gaming. And so right here, we've got Discord. One place that a lot of youth have went to during the pandemic is creating channels on Discord. I'm going to call it the Slack of the gaming world. I actually use it for reaching out to the global community on Jane's Walk, and I have other channels on there as well. But youth, especially in our school here at Egale, tend to have their own channels. So we've set up channels that we can reach out to them on it as well. And we can connect with them and work with them on it. Minecraft, maybe you want to build an equitable world together. It is a world building game, a sandbox game. Yes, there is monsters, but there's monsters here in real life. And it's is an endless game with endless possibilities. You can create anything you want, a castle, a house. It's got the building blocks. You can design your character to look like you or look like animation of what you want to look like. I know people older than I that play it. I know kids. I've sat across from a 6-year-old on a streetcar talking about it. It's good for all ages, and I highly recommend it as a tool for engagement, a tool to bring people together and work collaboratively. And it also has educational packages with it, or educational parts to it as well, through the Microsoft site, I believe. And then I've also put up Twitch. I only put this up because I have a friend from high school who was streaming live. They were building drag queens on live on Twitch to their audience. There's many ways that you could bring your youth there to watch different queer events. We need to know, or we need to realize that many youth are using these gaming technologies. I'm just gonna float ahead to one of my quotes, but I believe I have a statistic I wanted to share. Yeah, among teens, interest in video games is extensive. The 2018 Pew Research Center finding found that 90% of American teens play video games of any kind. That includes phone games, etc. 97% of boys and 83% of girls. And unfortunately, I don't have any data on anything outside the heteronormative binary, but that is a huge percentage. That's quite a lot of youth. So what I am recommending is go where the youth are. Start a Discord channel, go where they feel comfortable and where they are. So now onwards to, this is where the hyperlinks are. You'll see it on the page. Front-facing tech. Now, I've already made one of the team that is going to come join me, but I'm quickly going to show you what Streamyard does. So I've got a live link right here. I'm going to open it up and drag it over. Just give me one quick moment. So Streamyard is a producing software. It is to make your job of, I'm going to call it movie making magic, quite easy. Yes? I heard a sound. So Stacy, follow the link I sent you earlier, and we're going to go into this broadcasting studio. Now, I understand this isn't for youth in the sense where, especially if youth are afraid to be on screen, we're not going to send them to a space like this, but you could get them to create a live video podcast or video cast of, you know, their daily routine or their walks that they did and put it on a private YouTube channel. You may also want to use this technology to build some resources or have interviews with folks in gender-based violence and share that knowledge with your youth. So I'm showing this to you as it's a very simple to use technology. So I'm going to enter the broadcast studio. So you can see, I'm just going to make it full screen. And you can add folks to the screen. Hello, Stacy. And you can brand it. So you can see I've got the community practice up here. You can brand it with a background. You can have private chats with folks backstage, and you can you can do overlays, add video clips, pictures, etc. And you can send it out. So I'm just going to show you here to all of these different locations. So YouTube, Twitch, you can use other technology to get it elsewhere. You can do live viewings to Facebook. So this is more of a tool that's more outward facing, less inside with youth, but I still highly recommend it as a tool to use. So thank you, Stacy, for joining me and for being the participant. So I'm gonna get us out of Streamyard for now. So that's Streamyard. And as you can see, you can actually have up to 10 people backstage and bring them up when you need. So you could have that happen if you so please. There is tons of different ways to use it, and it's becoming quite a popular tool for content during the pandemic. So I'm just getting my next slide, one quick sec. It's not allowing me to go next, but I'll just drag it next if that's okay. So collaborative technologies. Okay, this is why I'm here today. This is the most exciting thing. And right after this, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to have some fun. So collaborative technologies. So I bring you Miro or Miro and Mural. These are online digital whiteboard technologies. They're for ideation and brainstorm, research and design. You can use them as project management tools. You can do strategy and planning. You can do presentations and mapping and diagrams. You can do remote meetings. You can do hackathons, and you can do games. Mural can give you access for free to hundreds of boards that you can build yourself. Miro only has 3 that you can build, but as you can see, I can expand exponentially. So this is a space for us that we can continue to use for the community of practice. We can continue to put links in. You could delete my presentation post today's event if you so choose, or not, but you can make use of this board. They also have integrations with other technologies such as Google and such as Microsoft Office, YouTube, etc. They've got wonderful nonprofit rates, and I believe it's free for up to 10 users on Mural, which is pretty much, just let me clarify this, they're very similar. They're almost the same technology, only a bit different. The reason I chose, when originally planning to do this workshop, I was going to do Mural. That is what we built our hackathon in. Miro is much easier, I think, to learn and use. You can build up a wireframe for a website, or you can just collaboratively jam. They've got thousands upon thousands, which we're going to look post-break at, of templates in their what they call Miroverse. So you don't have to waste time thinking up and building a template for your youth. All of those already exist or almost exist to your liking. Now, just about security, we're going to go back to safety for a second. So if you're bringing your youth onto one of these and they feel uncomfortable sharing their name or sharing their details, Mural, which is the pink one here, when they sign on, they can choose to be anonymous, and it randomly generates an animal. So they may be the anonymous tortoise or the anonymous elephant or the anonymous unicorn if you're really lucky. The Miro, on the other hand, or Miro, doesn't, but you can change your name at any point and it will change it. So I'm not sure today if I'm coming up as Wesley Reibeling or Lincoln Reibeling, Lincoln being my middle name, as I was fooling around with that to see if I change my name, what would happen. So you can have your youth choose the name that they want on here, choose a profile picture, and our team picture today is our community of practice logo. So I am just going to quickly speak about the highs and lows of our hackathon, and then I'm going to give us a break. So I, back in end of January, early February, we ran Egale Speak Out Hackathon with the University of Manitoba, that was funded by PHAC, and it was done through Mural. Now, originally it was planned as an in-person event, and we had a lot of it planned out back in the fall before everything had changed. But when switching to online, we wanted to pick a collaborative software, and we devoted many hours into researching and then developing the templates. A lot of the templates we built were from pre-existing, but we really wanted to hone in on making sure it felt safe and accessible, etc. And even when we did the event, the first full day was devoted to just training the youth and service professionals. Sorry, the whole day was focused to almost training. The end, we gave them access to start playing around, but this whole team workspace we had grayed out, and the first day was more or less this section right here. When you're bringing folks to new technologies, take the time to teach them. Take the time to learn together and collaborate together, to make mistakes, to get messy. We can only get devoted to something if we feel comfortable doing it. So I highly recommend that tip. We also wanted to bring that content to life. So we had wellness breaks. As Kelly mentioned post-call today, we had dance parties, we had games, we had prizes donated by amazing folks from Kobo and IKEA and many others. We had teachings on accessible programming, and we had a trauma-informed approach webinar from the 519. We had executive directors from several organizations popping in and out of breakout rooms that were to help the youth kind of guide them in the right direction with their ideas. And we had a hackathon help desk, which was a thing that we built after the second day when we realized we needed a place for youth to go if they're like, help, I'm lost, or help, my tech isn't working. We also had an active listener ready if someone needed a timeout or were feeling triggered. All of this concluded in making a digital space feel much more than just a Zoom room. We had staff cheerleaders, as I mentioned before, which were there to cheer on, but also to keep people on track. And as I mentioned, we had morning huddles to make sure everything was okay. And if certain youth were not feeling comfortable with things, we could spend some more one-on-one time with them training. So just my high and low points I wanted to mention, where the high points were the youth being happy, working hard, and their teams thinking up some creative, collaborative, needed ideas and feeling safe and working in those spaces and enjoying. It was a 4-day event, and we had youth coming back all 4 days. That's hard in a time of digital exhaustion. The lows were folks definitely did have some technical problems. We found that Mural, all that information on that site overpowered when we had that many people. We also had a few glitches, but as I said, embrace it. This is the world we live in. Embrace the backgrounds that you sit behind or sit in front of. Like, embrace who you are and everything about it. We also, I would say, some gaps which we noticed, and even out of the ideas that were built, where youth did bring up that programming is great in larger cities, but lacking in more northern regions. We had one youth who was very strong about their lack of French programming or programming for French Ontarian youth. And I know folks are coming from all across Canada. To today's session, there was many other gaps that I could go into further detail, but I'm keeping it pretty high level. But when we spoke, Donna, you mentioned earlier about language barriers. I personally wish we had an interpreter on it, and we had a way that one of the facilitators, which were me and Lee Cameron, could have been speaking French or doing it much like the Prime Minister does, where there's French and English happening. So when you are building out your projects, make sure you're thinking of these things early on into the process. All of these things around accessibility are integral to the survival of our programming and our youth. And just one last thing that I would love you to take a look over as you gain access to this on the break. I'll put on some music, but I am leaving you now with the W5H's of program design in the pandemic. So after attending a webinar by Artreach by a spoken word artist that kind of had these ideas, my team at Egale, as well as the community of practice, have kind of built out these who, what, why, when, where, how, and accessible programming questions as you're building out a program. I highly recommend going through each and every one of them. Why is a program needed? Why are stakeholders committed to this program? Why hasn't this gap been filled already? These can help you at the very beginning. The break today, because I've talked for an hour, I would love to give you 10 minutes. And is that good with everyone? Okay, so take a look at this. And then my last thing is guide yourself around the board, play a little, move around. I have some icebreaker games, which you can do on the break if you'd like. And take a look throughout this. There's tons of resources if you feel like reading, but if you also feel, as we know from trauma-informed approach, if you want your camera off, if you need a glass of water, if you need a second to just get away, do it. Grab a bite to eat, do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. I will see you at 3:10. And I'll put on some music in the meantime. In the comments for anyone who's still around, what do you want to listen to today? Are we feeling dancey? Are we feeling antsy? What would charm our hearts? Give me some ideas, and I'll do my best to pick something that's on the level of everyone. Friday feeling music, dancey. It's so great. Okay, well, let's make it happen.
We've lost dancing.
I'll talk over this song. The song is one of my favorite songs now. It's about the pandemic and what we've lost. But there is a really great line about hope in it, about what comes next is going to be marvelous. So I recommend checking that, just listening in to the lyrics of it. It makes me happy when I listen to it.
Who is the artist, Wes? What was the name of the artist?
Yeah, I think my headphones. Give me one sec.
Oh, sure.
I'm talking up a song and then it stops. Embrace the spontaneity.
What are you laughing about, Stacy? I can see you laughing.
They're actually drilling into the roof above me right now. Before they were throwing bundles of shingles, and I'm like, this is the worst possible time. But now it's like a power drill literally right above me.
Wow.
I didn't plan this well on purpose. Like, wow.
I'm so
Is it
used-
raining in Kingston?
No.
Yes, it is raining.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it had
So
stopped.
they're working in
no.
the rain on your roof? That seems like a dangerous thing.
It's just windy.
Sorry, it stopped raining. It just rained so much. I just assumed it was, but now that I look out, it's not raining.
It's good though. We really needed the rain in Ontario. So
No, Joe.
no, we don't.
No.
The plants, the nature, the growing things are very happy, I think, with the rain.
Yes, that's true.
These are fun questions, Wes, on the icebreaker activity. They're interesting. Oh, we don't hear you right now. No.
Okay, that few, I thought it was my internet. No, okay, I like it when it's not me.
Start a community practice collab playlist this summer for meetings. Oh yeah, I like that. Thanks for sharing the link.
Yeah.
That's the song that was playing, but I can make a playlist for us to share and put a link on the board. But yeah, no, if anyone wants to start, we'll be going in a few minutes. I would love folks to start where it says start here with the first icebreaker. I also in the corner have left many different icebreakers for you to take and use. But I've got 2 games to kind of get us going in this, feeling a bit more comfortable with this collaborative technology. Oh, I see somebody already started with what are you reading right now? And they put a rainbow. Is this the reading rainbow?
So should we move to our, to the site, to the Miro right now?
Yeah, because I can talk through the only slide I have. I've got a few more points just about labor and the fine line between work and pleasure and play and labor for our youth.
Yeah.
But I've got quotes on here about it too. So I think I'd love if we spend the next 20 minutes really engaging in the space. I think that that's more important than anything. I've talked at people enough. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And feel free to share. So if you're starting, and no rush if you're just getting back, but if you are starting, feel free to like share your board with other folks. There's lots of room for everyone. I don't know if I want that question. I don't know what my hidden talent is.
Okay.
I didn't lock everything. So Kelly, I do see that you're moving around the instructions. But if you were to build out yours for youth, you can like lock a lot of the backgrounds so that things don't move. So that is on me. And I'm very interested in what's happening with the rainbow and the fish and the jaguar. What band is this? You have to let me know.
It's actually a book that I'm reading and I'm having a super hard time like doing it with emojis. It's Untamed, and which is like the story behind it is anyways like a jaguar in a zoo that was tamed and how society is taming us as human beings, kind of like if we're in a zoo. So I'm just trying to find like kind of a whip that I can do with the jaguar anyways. And just the cover of the book is just so like rainbowy and sparkly, and the person who's writing the book also in the book just talks about how at one point she was married with a man and just got a divorce and came out and fell in love with a woman, and so it's kind of the story behind it also.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an amazing book, honestly, very empowering.
And it was called Untamed?
Yeah.
So while you're playing around, I'm just going to talk about the bar on the left hand, and then you'll see a bar along the bottom. So the bar along the bottom is how I like set up my slides, the presentation mode. You don't have to worry about all that yet today, but there is voting, there's a timer, so we could time ourselves if we're doing like a breakout room. There's also, with the paid plan, camera capabilities, so you can actually meet in here, not even just on Zoom. And as you saw before, you can do presentations. If you look up to the top, so again, I realized that I'm not sharing my screen anymore, but if you look up at the top, you'll be able to see all of us in the room. I can share reactions that you're all going to see, like celebration, hearts. So if you like what you're seeing or you're having fun, you can use one of those. You can also raise your hand and lower your hand for folks. So I'm just going to start the timer now that it's 3:13 because we've got 15 minutes, and we're going to start our next activity in here. As we do that, I'm just going to talk through the column on the left. So you'll see the mouse at the very beginning. You can use Select V or Command V or to use that. You can zoom in and out using if you're on your phone, by pinching, if you're using a mouse by scrolling, and if you're using a touchpad by pinching as well. Underneath is templates. That's if you wanted to add, I didn't lock everything, and this is my embarrassment, so I'm sorry that the start here is moving. If you want to add text, if you wanted to, you can even tag. So I can change notes to a label where I can actually put a due date and assign Joanne a task. So if I was like, hey, Joanne, by tomorrow, and I need you to look over this icebreaker, I can make her do that in this, if she so choose, of course. Yes, there's arrows, there's shapes you can create, there's highlighters, pens. Feel free to scribble around if you so choose. There's comments. So for example, when we were talking about Untamed, I could say, I haven't, oh, that's all in caps. I don't want to be screaming it. I haven't read this. And we could all comment on others' icebreakers. So with that, we're going to start the next activity. So if you scroll over, and I'm going to make everyone follow me right now, just so that wow, there's a lot of you in here. So bring everyone to me. So rules for the webinar: stay focused but be engaged, follow along, ask for help and ask questions, play around and have fun. So, oh, somebody's already done it. Yay. Okay. So add a Google image of an animal of how you're feeling today. So go to the left-hand bar that I just was speaking, click on the 3 dots on the bottom, select Google image search, and click on the image that best suits you. I'd personally like it to be an animal, but if you're feeling more of a hamburger today, or you're feeling like an antsy ant or a dancing pelican, so be it. Be whatever you want. And if you've already put an image, like the person who put the cute little dog, you can use the highlighter to write your name. So I'm the hedgehog because I'm cute and prickly. And
I did it.
Cynthia, you moved the background, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm just going to make it bigger so we're all on it. And as I said, what we're doing today can be, for the recording, maybe I will share my screen so folks in the recording can see it. So share. Cynthia, don't be sorry. This is exactly what we're supposed to be doing today. We're supposed to be getting messy. We're supposed to be making mistakes. This is Miss Frizzle's class, I promise you. So we've got about 1 minute and 22 seconds. So if you haven't added an animal, also whoever did the chinchilla, you're my favorite. Oh, Emma, you've got great handwriting too. Also, I'm in a Facebook group that just posts pictures of those animals, Emma. I don't even remember the name of them right now, but they're one of my all-time favorite things, and they're so cute. They just look like a giant groundhog. So as you can see, it's very much like Jamboard. So if you, yes, that's the animal. If you can understand Jamboard, you've got a hang of this. But now we're going to do a step up. We're not going to do it, but I want to let you know you can add PDFs and make them readable. So I've added below, which you don't need to go see, but I can bring you there, I guess. So I'm going to drag you to me, bring everyone to me. So you can see the community of practice here. I've got our literature review on a trauma-informed approach to working with vulnerable youth online. We can read through the document together. It looks a bit blurry, but up close, it just needs to render. So all of these PDFs, you can have videos play. So as I was speaking about earlier during the break about music, and for me, that's my guilty pleasure. Oh, that's the timer going off, so I better be quick. I was speaking about music and how that's really like helped me through this last year. I've added a video which we can watch, or you can watch post-call as well. So play around, you can see that we can do so much with it. I've got resources for further learning. So I'm gonna just continue to drag you around the screen so that you can see everything. So if you are interested to learn more about Streamyard, about Miro, about Mural, about Discord, I put the PDF on how to there as well for you. I've got our tip sheets, and above I've got our templates for the Miroverse, which I quickly am going to not show you today, but I ask for your homework, if nothing else, go to the Miroverse and scroll through. It's a hole, I promise you. Once you dive in, you're gonna see how much this program has to offer for you. And then I've got the hyperlinks above if you wanted to check out any of the technology I talked about. So that W5H, as we're just scrolling out over it on the screen, the community of practice will have a finished published version in the upcoming weeks. This is the rough copy, but if you are in the midst of designing a new program, I recommend checking it out. But for now, we're going to go to group work, and we're going to do a few exercises together and vote on the best answers. So I am also, and this isn't just a one-way conversation, I want to know what technologies you've been using, or maybe there's something that I don't know that you can teach me here today, which I really want. So grab a sticky. You can grab it from the sidebar, or I have lots around that you can move, and add what technology you are using to engage with youth. Somebody made a big sticky.
Wait, oops.
That's okay. I'm just gonna shrink it down. There we go. And once you finish that, we can move on to 2, 3, 4, and 5. We don't have to get through them all today, but I do think some of the most important questions are what problems, issues, or gaps that we've been facing, what technologies are we using, and like what is preventing us from solving these problems. And this is an important thing that came up in so some of my research today that was this was based off of today came from Youth and the Digital Economy. It's a Harvard published paper about how youth are producing their own work now and how that plays in, and the social inequities that play into that as well. But this question really hit me. So how do youth themselves view the obstacles and opportunities of online collaboration? And in what ways can virtual platforms be improved to facilitate coordinated work? So what are we missing in the technologies we have now? Okay, great. So polls everywhere, Kahoot. Okay, great. Oh, somebody is using Spinner Wheel. Yeah. Word cloud. I love word cloud. Zoom. What's pentameter, Emma?
Sorry, I misspelled it. It's Mentimeter. It's also a poll platform.
Oh, kind of like no, it's not like Doodle. I've never even heard of it. That's awesome.
It's a bit like Kahoot.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah,
well then I'm
Is you do
familiar with
the quick surveys and polls in it.
So do you find that, I guess another question out to you, and I'm asking a lot of everyone right now, but do you find that these technologies in all different places is confusing? Or do you find that if they were all in one central hub, would that make it easier? Do you like, you don't have to comment on the layout's not perfect, but that we can access everything here and that, you know, all of our resources are here. I could add that Spotify collaborative playlist, which I think I'll do right now while you're answering those questions. Creating that central hub, whether it be here or on any platform, is that a useful way that we can collaborate together? It's kind of a a question out there you don't need to answer, but you can think about. And then just I keep talking and I apologize, but one last thing that I do want to get in as we're finishing up in the next few minutes, I have a little bit of information on our Speak Out program. We are about to launch, and as I'm here today from Egale, I'm going to talk about it. We're about to launch our action committee, which will be helping to implement the intervention plan over the next year. So we are looking for 10 to 14 members to help bring forth this intervention to 5 agencies or 5 service providers. So at the bottom of the Speak Out information, there's a smart sheet form. I'm not going to drag everyone over, but I do recommend if you are interested, sign up today. The application literally opened today. So be the first people to sign up. And also under the Egale stuff, we also are looking for a social worker on site for our classroom. So if you know anyone in our industry who would be interested in working with queer youth, we do have a position available and you can pass that onwards to them. So the link's there. But yeah, I highly recommend taking some time post-session today, reading through the tip sheet, going through those hyperlinks. How do we download the tip sheet? That's a great plan. So I'm thinking if you download it, you're not going to have the hyperlinks, but you now have access to this board. So if you want to go to any of these links, all you got to do is come back into Miro and it will shoot you into here. So I can see if, no, I can only link it to one place. So all of them though will have, if you double click them, there should be a source button that shows up and you can click that source to go to any of the links. So I know I talked at you and I know that there was so much to cover. I built this and realized I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through it all, in the sense that I had so much I wanted to share with you, so much space I wanted to create with you, and so much, yeah, positivity I wanted to bring to this time of digital ambiguity, you know? So I hope that you got something from it. I think right now I'd love to read through some of your other questions if you have time to do problems to solve. I think we could end there and then I'll let everyone go a few minutes early. If I also can open it up, actually, let's do that. So you can answer the problems to solve while I open it up to question and answers. I feel like I didn't give enough space for everyone to ask. So throw some questions at me and come on screen, come on camera. It's the end of the day, so it'd be great to know that you're still there with me.
So, Wes, my question for you is, you mentioned that you did a great deal of research before the hackathon and landed on Miro. Was there any other similar platforms that you were tempted by, or was it an easy decision because of all the affordances that Miro gives you?
Well, we actually went with Mural, but looking back, now that I've played around in this, I think this has more to offer in the sense of they have thousands of templates. You can even take a picture of a sticky note and it will upload it, like it can recognize sticky notes and bring them up here. So I think, no, it wasn't an easy, we were in the very beginning of the pandemic. We were kind of, you know, dancy-antsy, trying to figure things out. We researched, we had a summer student who actually was going forth to find us different technologies that we could do a hackathon in. There's other alike, not in this sense of collaboration, but where like people could come in and blog about what they're doing, sites and other platforms in a whole different sense of doing a hackathon. But we really wanted a place where youth could engage together, to work together, and it to be visually appealing. So we focused on this. And we had folks from Civic Tech, Toronto, there's different chapters of it across Canada, talk to us afterwards, just because they themselves build hackathons all the time. They have weekly hack nights, but ours was a different way that they hadn't like seen before, in a sense. So I think visual technologies like these digital whiteboards, I think, are a really great tool for that kind of ideation exercises. It's a really long answer.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Any other questions? Well then, if that's that, feel free to take the anonymous survey. I recommend saving this link or adding it to your favorites so you have access to this post-call. If you know folks from your organizations who missed today, who you think would be interested or who want to check out some of the resources here, send them the Miro link. If they can't access it, just email me or the community practice team, and I'll make sure to get them into the board. This board is yours now. So I want you to play around. I want you to feel safe. I want you to collaborate. So post-call, I'll add the Spotify link. Let's add songs to it together this summer. But feel free to add your own resources. Make this our place to connect and to share upcoming things. We can, and it's endless. We can make it zoom way out. So we've got lots of room to play around in here. But thank you for today. Thank you for your time, your energy, for your collaboration, and thanks for listening to me. I'm going to pass it back to the PrevNet team just to say some final words.
Well, Wes, I want to thank you. It's Joanne. I want to thank you so much. It's true. There are unlimited ways to connect. The possibilities are just mind-blowing. And I love that we have this and it's part of our community of practice. I'm going to spend a lot of time just kind of digging into this. And I'm sure everybody else wants to do that too, because it's a lot to take in, but you did a really good job of setting it up. And we appreciate it so, so very much. Thank you so, so much. And to everyone, thank you so much for joining the webinar, and have fun playing with it. I think we're all going to be really intrigued. We have a weekend for a lot of exploration. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you so, so much for joining in.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.